conversation 5 years ago. Now here comes the 13th. First thing is, how do we prevent 10 years having the same conversation? And secondly, we had slavery, convict leasing, mass incarceration. How do we prevent the next gimmick? Because you gotta believe there's another one coming. So instead of being reactive, let's be proactive. Let's try to figure out what is the next scheme to keep this underprivileged class where they're at, of young people, especially African American males. Let's figure that out ahead of time so that we're not having this conversation 10 to 20 years ago continue. Because I'm 50, I've been doing this 26 years, I'm tired of having a conversation. Really sick and tired of having a conversation. 26 years of doing this. I am tired of having this conversation. Because the proof, see, the only way I think we can do this is that if we could take it to every church, we could take it to every house, and we could strap you in a chair and make you watch the movie for 2 hours. Everybody in America should just be forced to watch the movie.
But some people still won't believe it.
Yeah. So how do we?
Because if you look at the attention test, I don't know if anybody's ever seen that, where you had to watch people throwing the ball, and you had to count how many people in white was throwing the ball. And a gorilla walked through. I didn't even see it. Right. So we all can see the same thing, but people still see it differently. So you can show that to every person in America, and there's still gonna be people who.
So how do we do? I think this is our dilemma.
I think it's more like, after watching that film, I went through a lot of what happened in that film in my situation when it came to the Trayvon Martin situation, but it's more like people that are just as involved, that actually walk the walk. I guess it's more integrating us back into society so that society can see that, yo, this is real, because I've actually studied that stuff, and I used to teach the brothers about it. I actually filed the bonds to the tax department. When they charge you, the bill of indictment is actually a bill, and they sell it on the stock market. And I actually went in and used my birth certificate as a bond, if you read the fine print at the bottom of your birth certificate, to try to kill the charge, to discharge the debt. That's why they say they can't bound you over until you're bounded to superior court. Most superior courts, all superior courts in the United States are Incs. They're registered with the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. They had ticker numbers. And these numbers are actually sold to Verizon, Ford Motor Corporation, Walmart. This is big. She didn't get into that. So I got to give you this. So in me giving you all this, you all didn't even know that. Like, the district courts are actually a federal court. That's why they rush to get you out of the district court. They try to get you out of the district court because that's where all your true rights remain. Your probable cause hearing, all the different motions you need to get in. Once you get into that superior court, you go into dishonor. So then they're able to sell the debt and then set the debt off on you, and then your body's performing the bond, the bid bond, the performance bond, the payment bond. You're performing that debt in prison. And while you're performing that debt in prison, these corporations are paying monthly fees to the state while you're serving that time. This is how they build schools. This is how they build highways. See, and you all wouldn't know this because it all happens in the blink of an eye when everybody's in the court system or the paperwork's being done. So it has to be people that are just as involved that have to get out and tell the story. But then when we get out to try to tell the story, we got to be able to provide for our family. We got to be able to make sure we got a place to stay. We got to have medical. We got to have transportation. We got to be able to get jobs. And then we're not able to get that because we're doing a life sentence. Oh, he's been convicted of so-and-so, so-and-so. So when you go out to try to get a job, you got to check the box. And luckily, and God bless us in Wilmington, in the county, that we don't have to check the box here. Hopefully we can get this nationwide where you don't have to check the box, where you can know me for who I am. Where you can know me for who I am and not for the mistakes that I made in my life. So that's what I think, not to take the floor, that's what I think, that the education and just being able to integrate justice involved individuals back into the community so they can see it, where the rubber meets the road. Or maybe it just needs to happen to a family member that's close. I mean, not to be callous or rude. Maybe it needs to happen to a couple of family members, and then it'll hit home.
Anybody familiar with an organization called Move On? You know they have a petition to end the 13th Amendment? To amend it? To take out that clause neither slavery nor involuntary except for the punishment of crime. There's an actual petition. So if you go online tonight, go online to move on. Sign the petition. They're begging for signatures. I think I posted it the other day. And they're asking for people to sign on the petition to sign it because we can amend it. We can amend the Constitution. This is the Constitution. But as we see, who really wants to amend it? Because I was talking to the news report out there. Orange is the New Black. Anybody watch that series?
Yep.
Heard of it.
Orange is the New Black. They actually in Orange is the New Black, they actually show the Victoria's Secrets part. Because the girls go back there, that's the actual Victoria's Secrets, that they're cutting the fabric to put that's Victoria's Secrets that's actually in that Orange is the New Black. Great, I first caught on to it. Great series. Great series. It gives you prison from a different perspective in that series. But that's what I think we're at. We're trying to, we behind the 8 ball. This is corporate America. This is a tough question you have to ask yourself. This is our country. What happens when you get rid of all this? These are tough.
Well, I wanted to, you mentioned a question. I wanted to give you my opinion on it. You said, how do you not have this conversation in the future? And I took some time and I thought about it, and I'm going to write it down. We've got to win the hearts of the mind of the people that are open. There are always people that aren't even open to it. There's that, I don't know what percentage, I'm not even going to put a percentage, that are not open. They have a master race mentality, and everything that they do is from that mindset. But then there are people that are middle of the road. And, to not have this conversation, to me, in the future means that we can once again win the hearts and minds of the middle of the road. And then the main thing for me is there's a reason why there was segregation and separation. When you are, I think we need to integrate more. Financially, things are going in such a place where blacks and whites, the poor, rich and poor, are being separated. They segregated because they wanted us to stay separate so we can look at each other differently. So we've got to fight the things that are taking blacks and white apart and force them together again, instead of going in the opposite direction. And I think that when you get to know a person and you're in the same neighborhood, you're in the same schools, you understand that we are more alike than we are different. For those that are open, you see what I'm saying? And so we have to recognize that we're being forced into, it's going in the other direction again. We're being forced to be separate.
So I gave a scenario. I want to ask another question. I gave a scenario. Somebody knows my path theory. I have a path theory. Frankie knows it also. So there's 8 slices of a pie. Right? There's 12 people in the room. So 8 slices of a pie, there's 12 people in the room. 8 people gets a slice of pie, 4 don't. That 4 has 3 objectives. They have 3 opportunities. The first one, they can go to the store, buy the ingredients, and build their own product. You can go make their own pie. Go to the store, get the ingredients, make their own pie. Black Americans lost that because we used to have the power to do that. We used to have infrastructure in our community. We had black economics in our community. We had schools, we had church. We had tradesmen, we had skills, so we could make our own pie. We didn't have to go get our pie, we had the pie. One thing a young mentee of mine said the other day, he said, if we look at Jim Crow was bad. However, there's one thing we miss about Jim Crow. In Jim Crow, by law, we couldn't spend our money with anybody else. And everybody came to spend their money with us. So the money circulated back in our community. So think about that. When you look back at Jim Crow, it was a bad law. But Jim Crow, by law, blacks could not go down to J.C. Penney's and spend money. They could not go to Sears and Roebuck and spend money. they had to go to the stores in their own community. So therefore, the money circulated back, and everybody came to spend with us. They came to eat with us. They came to get their hair cooked. We came to do their houses. We did the plumbing. We did the masonry. So the money was circulating back. So we had infrastructure. So number one, we can't do that anymore. So the second option, we can beg, plead, and cry, and hope somebody of those four gives us a slice of pie. We've basically been doing that for the last 150 years. Begging and praying that we get a slice of pie. So it's one last option. It's the option I see that we don't really want to deal with that's happening right now in front of us. The last option is the four people that are getting pie, they can get up and take some pie. And that's the sad state that I'm afraid that our generation I'm looking at now is headed to. Let me give you an example. How many of you knew Nipsey Russell prior to last week?
I heard him.
How many of you knew him?
I didn't know him.
Now America knows him.
Yeah.
Out of last week. Think about this now. This is a rapper whose funeral was on TV. Let me tell you why. I've been studying Nipsey Russell for at least 5 to 6 years. I caught on to him when his first marathon tape. Nipsey's idea was to take the pie. But he was doing it differently. Nipsey's idea, if you look at his old tapes, what Nipsey started doing, he said, hey, Bloods, Cribs buy your music too. Hey, Cribs, Bloods buy your music too. We fighting against each other. That don't make sense. Nipsey's one phrase was, the corner you standing on selling dope, you need to own that corner. Nipsey said, when you standing in front of the chicken place, you need to own the chicken place. Why are you standing in front of Nixon Street in the store and the Arabs on it? That's how Nipsey's philosophy was. And Nipsey slowly was underground changing the whole network between Bloods and Crips.
Mm-hmm.
He was showing them how to invest their money. Nipsey put me on cryptocurrency. That's how I got into cryptocurrency. I got into cryptocurrency through Nipsey Hussle. Because he said, look, take this money and he was slowly taking back. With his death, I'm afraid that that idea of peaceful taking back is going out the window. And the sentiment of physically taking back is coming back. Because he was trying to convince them that we can't do this physically. And with his death, I've talked to a lot of young people since his death. They've been deflated. A lot of gang members deflated. Because they're trying to figure out how, they're looking at the behind the scenes workings of how he just accidentally got, shot by a walk out. So I want to look at that philosophy because that's what if we don't fix this, we got a generation out there now. I've got 6 boys and a girl. I know my children. We don't think the same way, unfortunately. I got one that thinks like me. The others, they don't think the same way. Unfortunately. They don't look at law enforcement the same way I do. I know I need them. Come in my house, I'm calling. Shoot one of my children, I'm snitching. You call me a snitch, I'm telling. Shoot mine. But this generation here, they don't think the same.
Nope.
They think from a different point of view. So we got to figure this thing out. And we really ain't got much time to figure it out. How are we gonna fix this major problem? Because as the fathers say, the average person, they're not watching 13 on Netflix. And they're gonna reject it. Why? Because the average person, comfort is cool with it.
I think that a while ago, President Obama was trying to make it mandatory for classes in the true Constitution. I think he had that on deck at one time where he was going to try to make it in the curriculum to where it had to be mandatory for every U.S. citizen child when they're going through school to go through a series of constitutional classes, even the organic constitution, as we all know that the United States is a corporation that was incorporated in Delaware, and that's why it's the United States of incorporation, but the actual planet that we own is actually North America. And then you had the Articles of Confederation, you had the continental U.S. and different things, and he wanted to go through the whole history of how America became what it is now up to the U.S., and I don't know how far this got through legislation or whatever when he was there, or if it's still a bill that might come in effect later. But that's the key that I see. Education is definitely the key. Education, they say money is the power, but education is the power, because with that education you make greater money, and then that's where the power comes.
My brother here said, you talked about the middle of the road. The sad part about when I have these discussions and I have these meetings, and I hope y'all don't take this offensive, I see the same white people every time. It's the same white people. And in 20-some years, it's been the same white people. It's been, and what happens, here's what I'm gonna give you our message to take back to some of your ones that don't come. So here's what pisses me off. I know a lot of, especially liberal whites, don't like Trump, but they ain't gonna give up the benefits they get from Trump either. We might not like him, but I ain't giving up the benefits that he's producing either. We ain't gonna get that back. So it's benefiting this still. When he's doing stuff, he's benefiting a population. How do you get that back? You can't get that back. The breaks, you can't get that back. And so even though we don't like him, it's like how do you balance that thing out? We don't get that back. So I see the same ones that really truthfully want to get him out, kick him out, and help us. And then I see the ones that sit in the corner. Yeah. But they just go on their vacations and go on with their life and everything peachy creamy. Every time I come to these settings, I don't care if we go to City Hall in Wilmington, I don't care if we go to the college, it's the same crew. It hasn't grown, it's the same, I think 10 to 15%. It had not grown in 26 years since I've been here. I told somebody the other, me and Glenn had a conversation the other day. We're going to give Steve Lee the Brown Award. We're going to get that to Steve Lee. He's been on the battleground for so long. We're going to give him the Brown Award. We're going to have a big celebration and give him the Brown Award. Because he's been out there for so many years. But it's the same ones. It's the same one. And then we don't get to the middle road if we don't have these conversations. I attend Port City Community Church on purpose. I do. I go breaking. I go probably at least 3 times, 3 to 2 times a month. Then my schedule changed. I don't know how many times I get to go, but I used to go I go to PC3 on purpose, purposely. I like that. I'm being an extra witness. I'm kind of like that. The tone of the atmosphere. But I go on purpose. I know Mike, and Mike Ashcroft used to be on our board at the BRC. And every time I go, I make sure I go right to the front aisle, down to see Mike and shake his hand. Hey Mike, how you doing? So people can see. I do it on purpose. Because I'm asking myself in there, all this money y'all got up in here. All these resources y'all got up in here. All this opportunity y'all have to help. When the hurricane hits, they in Katrina, they was on ground within 24 hours. They was moving out. Port City Community Church got about 5 containers in the back already loaded, ready to go. It is the richest church in Wilmington, the most powerful church in Wilmington. It has the ability to change Wilmington, but will it? And I challenge Mike every time I see it. You're the most powerful preacher in Wilmington. You're my Joel Osteen of Wilmington. He is. Mike Ashcroft is the Joel Osteen of Wilmington, and I challenge him every time I see him. will you change? Will you take the, because I remember doing, I went to service and it was during the last campaign. No, I went to service when Obama was running. So it was Obama ran for his first time. Obama and McCain. Obama McCain. I said, I watched Mike dance this one today. How he gonna get away with this? Because his church was split down the middle. Literally. Port City PCP was split right down the middle. And I saw him dance. And he walked the tightrope that day and walked it straight on. And I was like, wow. He had to do it. He had a choice. Because he couldn't pick a side. And it was literally split down the middle. But it's one of the most powerful churches out there. But will the church community come and help us do with this? Not just that church, the black church.
Amen.
Where are they at on this? I'm gonna get in trouble today. I told you I was my last day doing this, y'all. I told you my last day. I can name, this help Linc, I can name them on 2 hands. Literally. In our community that has supported Linc, I probably can name them on 2 hands on a regular basis. When every member of the African American community has somebody dealing with incarceration. A cousin, an aunt, an uncle, a nephew. Every member of the community has somebody dealing with somebody either in incarceration or about to go. But I got a son right now, I know he about to go into, boy.
So how do we start with the family?
Who?
So how do we start with the families?
The families?
Mm-hmm. What do you mean to change the cycles? Like I work in housing, and so I have to see it, on a regular basis, and it is hard.
What you see? What you see?
I think it goes back more, like you said, how does it start with families?
Yeah.
It goes more back to education again.
What do you see?
Ooh,
Tell it. Don't be. We know cover.
Kids, because I have a Boy Scout group and I can't get a family, not one family, to be involved. And we're talking about 6-year-olds to like 13. I can't take these kids camping because Boy Scouts rules are they have to have a parent. Okay, I can't take these children and give them the experiences and try to change their path when I know that dad's a gangbanger or mom's struggling just to keep food on the table, and how can I provide that for these children when I can't get the support, not even of the community. I put it out there in every housing project here in Wilmington. I need volunteers from, whether it's a parent or a preacher that you guys know or somebody that's been incarcerated and has come out and is trying to make their life better. I can't get any of those people to assist us.
Can I help you? Can I help you in like 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Our mind thinks differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what I would do? Go get the camp and bring the camp to hood. Go buy the tents. Put the tents on the basketball court. Camp out in the hood.
Amen.
I'll say our mind thinks differently.
And I think that even a church that is next door to one of our properties refuses to allow us to have that on their property.
But use
that's their community.
Find a spot and bring it to them. Then, because here's how you think. This is what happened. I can cue right quick, and I feel your passion. Take them out. No, start here. Because I'm comfortable in my own space, especially as a young male. I'm comfortable in my space. I'm not comfortable going with anybody, and I ain't comfortable as a parent letting you take my child anywhere.
Oh, they want us to take them.
But start there. Build you a space, find you a space, build the tents, put the TP stakes up. Go get Mike Ashcroft. Tell him to put the tents out there. Go get them and fund it, and then start there, and then take us to the next level. We have to and a lot of times folks do that. When I was working with the BRC, a lot of times folks come in and they don't understand the culture, and we have to meet the culture where it's at. The black folks got 4 different levels right now. It used to be 2. Now it's about 4, depending on where you at. And so you have to figure out what level that particular group you're working with is at. You got hood, then you got not so hood, you got middle class, then you got what we call bougie.
Bougie.
So you got different levels. You may say it's levels to this. And everybody operates on a different level based on where they at. I've been in every level. The bougie. Then I came back down. You get too bougie, they knock you back down.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how not to be bougie no more. Get back down. So it's a different level. So that's how you do it.
So,
but then you can call me up. I'm gonna give myself I can't say I assist you. I can't even lie. I won't even lie to you. I won't even lie. Frank, what you got?
So excuse me, my fault, Mr. Robert. Go ahead. I was a Boy Scout when I was younger, and I remember I went to Gregory Congregational Church, and I remember this vividly. And I'm 47 years old. I remember going downtown, and we had black snake. They would cut the snake out for us. I remember that stuff. So what came to me while I was standing here was like what the Daoud said. Go out there, have like an education. Have the campers out there, have the guys that take the animals out there, cut them, cook them, do everything right in our community. And then once we get comfortable, the intriguingness of seeing that within the community, the comfortability of being in the community, then I'm like, wow, man, this is like this. Hey, y'all got a place we can go? Then we end up going out to the different places in North Carolina, the parks or whatever. But definitely the idea that he was talking, and I remember that vividly. I was downtown. We make the wood box racers. You know how you make the cars with the racers. I was a Cub Scout. Then I went on to being a Boy Scout, and I remember that. But the comfortability of being inside of my environment. Now also the comfortability of being inside an environment not too long, because we don't want to do the watermelon thing where we put it in squares and grow the seed and it only grows to a square. We need to lead into new communities. We need to see other things. So once I get the comfortability, which is the trust of you and the programs or whoever's doing things, then I'm able to say, okay, let me step out. And I just love that. That was a good idea. I love that. Great idea.
I was gonna say what she posed is a little bit more complicated than that, because we saw those of us who saw the video the other day in Houston Moore. That's what she talking about.
Yeah.
Where we standing around watching a dude beat this woman to a pulp and ain't nobody doing anything.
Where she was going. Taking it to the level.
Yeah, I was just saying.
We went there earlier this morning.
And I think it's complicated, but I think the only reason it's complicated is because we're not focusing on it, because we really don't know what we want. We typically, in conversations like this, we normally are. It's easy to lay the groundwork on the problem, but it's also easy to lay the groundwork on the solution and then focus on that, because then we can win if we focus and we attract what we want versus not really having an idea of what we want.
So you remember I was telling you it was 4 different areas?
Yes.
Remember I told you so I didn't tell what I think the next area is going to be. I said it was slavery, it was convict leasing, mass incarceration. I don't know for sure, but I believe they have said let them kill each other. I believe that's the next area we're going to.
Revolution.
I believe what you see in Chicago is going to begin to spread all of America. I believe the next level they have said now, and I believe that's why Trump is in office. The next level, take all the hope out. That's what you see going on in America right now. Just take all the hope from the young people. That's what happened with Nipsey. Take all the hope away.
Then it'll be excused as just black on black.
And black on black crime. That's to me, that is what I've been writing on for the last year. I've been trying to figure out, because I stopped being proactive. I started to be reactive and started being proactive. I want to know what the next scheme they got planned. And the only thing I can come up with is Chicago. I looked at Chicago, I looked at the movie Chirac. It was a little odd, but if you look at it, you gotta look at it deeply. You gotta look at it about 5 times, you get it. Spike Lee a little weird sometimes, but look at Chirac 5 times, you get it. What is the next level? And the only thing I said is, because you know this, what are they doing? What did Trump do? He let them out of prison. So they getting the citizen down. They going back and looking at everything they said there. They going back and reversing everything Clinton did. But the hope is gone. So you take all the hope out. Go ahead, Frank.
So I'm gonna contrast that with what I see can be, should be the next level is since the goal now is that Market North has been closed, we need to develop. The other next level, if we look at the condition of Houston Moore, we need to empower a few residents under one of the premise that HUD, a resident association can purchase it.
Yeah.
So that's what it should be. So if we want that, that's what it will become. But we need to decide if that's what we want, and it don't take but a few of us to make that decision.
Because we tried to do that with Gervais, with
Yeah.
the association another 15 years ago.
Yeah, we did.
The school to prison
Huh?
pipeline issue.
What Pastor just said, that we would be the people with the open minds already.
You'll be able to make it happen. Kim said the school to prison pipeline is pushing a lot of dollars as well.
So I do want to say, you made a good point, a whole lot of them. But one, so if I know that Port City Church has the ability to support a group to make the purchase, then I need to go to him with the plan
Right.
to make the purchase. Period. And then I need to take the people that influence the pastor to the table with us to make the purchase. Because we got to be thinking that way. Yeah, we got to be thinking that way, because if we're not thinking that way, any road will take us there.
No, we wait for the next family. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry, it's not the greatest country on the face of the earth for any reason. I mean, it has its way of talent things.
What camera? And Houston one?
Nah, probably don't.
Oh, he talking about his camera. Must be that one.
Turn the phone to the side.
Oh, mine might stop. I got 2 of them on, so
Yeah.
I got to double back up. So I got it. Go ahead, yes, sir. You right, you right. You right. You say you right. I thought you said you right.
Oh, no. I said I write everything.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
I'm gonna give you a plug.
It's a little sticky issue, but I think it needs to be addressed. And it's something that you said before. I just want you to know that it took me aback. And so I think we need to address it, because this is what I've worked in the prison for about 7 or 8 years, an educator and pastor in town. So I want to share something with you. You said, what about the families? Okay, I hear that a lot from those that I know that are not sensitive to our area. I mean, to the inner, to us, as if it's the parents' fault of what's going on. And as we see from the film, our families have been decimated. We're broken families, and it's been generational. And so, what I want you to understand, and you obviously, by the way, my name is Geo Simpson. I don't talk. What I want you to understand is, when we hear that, what about the families? It's almost as if we're receiving blame for what was done to us. But yet, we do know there is a responsibility for for families. Now, I have 2 sons, and they've gone through some things. They're PKs, and so of course that was really challenging for me. But every family, every teenager goes through things, and so I guess my point is to say we all have to come to the understanding that the African American, the minority family has been decimated by society schemes. And So any solution that we want to give, we have to take that into account. You understand? I've heard that from someone that I know is not sensitive to us. You know, man, I like to help them. I wish I could have some help from their parents. The parents are worse than the kids. It's their fault. It's their fault. And I believe that that's somewhat of a cop-out. If you have a heart to help people, you help them where they are. And you're sensitive to the things that have helped put them in that position. I was blessed with an awesome provider as a father and an awesome provider as a mother, both working, both professionals. And I understand that if my parents weren't there to catch me at certain points of my life, if they weren't together, where would I be? You understand? And so that helps me in the prison, that helps me deal with inner city youth, it helps me to deal with my kids. And you know, just to understand that those are just, I just want you to know those are catchwords. When you say what happened to the parents, automatically we're going, well, I don't speak for everybody, but for me, I've heard that from white supremacists, from insensitive people, black on black crime. They're killing themselves more than they are, you know what I'm saying? And that's a problem.
So how do we get that? When you talked about your growth, you're growing up. How do we get that back? I remember there was a time you couldn't sit in a church. You couldn't sit on a church stoop. Not my community. You could not sit on a church stoop and hang out. Lord knows don't smoke a cigarette. You couldn't sit. You couldn't sit on a church stoop. There was a time where that video that happened in Houston Mall. There was a time where everybody was out their house on top of this man.
No doubt.
For real, I was thinking that. I was thinking
yes,
that.
we've been decimated, but how do we get it back? Because they're not gonna give it back to us. The decimation has happened. We got to figure out how to get it back. See, I discipline mine. I remember at Riceboro School, and they came to the house, and my son had got his tail popped. Attorney Waters had to help me out on that one because they wanted to take me to the you ain't taking my child to DSS, and you ain't coming to my house to look at nothing. I popped him. And I'm going to pop him again if he mess up again in school. Now, if you want him now, you can have him now, but I'm trying to save him from you getting him later. And I'm not saying you go back to beating your children, because I know half you folks ain't going to beat them no more. I said it on the ad, people went lost their mind. God who advocating beating children. Some of them need a beating, but I ain't going to advocate it no more. But mine got their tail tattled, and my children thank me today for keeping them out of jail. So how do we, you ain't got to go back to the beating, but how do we get the hardcore discipline back in our community? Because there's certain things our children, certain things that our kids are doing in the community, certain things are happening. Yes, some of it's been pushed on us by videos, culture, and everything else, but some of it we just sit and accept it. The clothes these girls wearing to school, my grandmama would tear your tail to pieces wearing that to school. The boys, the way you talking to your teacher, boy, I'll pop you upside your head. You talk to your teacher like that one more time. I'm going to walk in the classroom and pop you upside the head. So, a lot of it, yeah, it's been pushed on us, but we got to get back. We got to find a way to reel that back in and say, oh, you know what? Some folks some cultures can live like that. But black folks can't live that way.
We don't have all the same community pillars that we used to have, like Ephesus and school, and I mean even when I was a director of Girls Incorporated, that's gone. It's a lot of, we're losing a lot of things that were mechanisms to communicate to at least those single parents that needed a little wisdom, and a lot of that is gone. We have to build it back up.
You make me laugh. It's sad to say that, yeah, we losing a lot of it. A lot of it's being replaced by folks that don't look like us.
That's the
Yes.
and
Right.
and there's nothing new under the sun. Again, it's all back to education. Financial literacy is a class that we teach here at the local LRC. Learning how to manage the finances. Okay, it's nice to have nice things, but it's not nice to have 80 pair of Jordans but never go to college. It's not nice to have Birkin bags and Coach bags and don't have a house and can't afford to pay rent, and then now I'm out because I'm 2 months behind or they repossessing my car. It has to be education. And in education, we need to lobby a lot of foundations and organizations, Walmart, whoever it is, that have charitable donation money, and we need to form organizations and foundations that specifically target education, like women. There's men too also, but with women, etiquette, like you were saying, dressing, having your nails done, doing your hair, cooking. Microwave. I'm calling China King. Some women don't know how to cook. It's just the base thing. Going back to the bare necessities. I'm going there. I said men too. Also men. And then as in men, if I got money, it doesn't matter, baby. I need some plumbing at the house or some electrical wiring. I'm gonna pay for the guy to come out and do the work. When it's some work that I probably can do. Like we had a program over here called Light Manhood, and it was targeted to like 16 to 24, somewhere around there, or 18 to 24-year-old males, and we were teaching them plumbing, electrical, and carpentry. And we can't keep the class full. But then I go complain about, well, I can't get a job, well, nobody's gonna hire me. And also for the people that are watching the video, and we need to take the initiative to take advantage of the programs that are available. How do I work and you take tax dollars out of my check, but then I don't go and take advantage of the fund, what you're funding the thing with? I'm just giving you my money. I might as well walk around and just throw money out my pocket to everybody.
You're saying we shouldn't be boycotting product. We should not be going anywhere.
We should be.
We should be boycotting product.
Yeah, we should be going taking advantage of them programs. They taking that money out my check. I'll make $1,000 and I don't get nothing but $700. You done took 3 out. And then some of that money's going to these things. And then I got the audacity to complain and say, well, they ain't doing that for me. You got to do something for yourself. Ain't nobody going to wake you up in the morning and brush your teeth. Ain't nobody going to wake you up in the morning and do your hair. Ain't nobody going to crank the card for you. You got to do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Go take advantage of it. There's many programs like the LRC. A lot of people don't even know about the LRC. Man, I'm getting out of prison. There ain't nothing for me. It is something for you. The LRC specializes in resources for transportation, resources for housing, resources for employment, and they'll direct the resources for medical. How many people take advantage of the LRC? The local Reentry Council for New Hanover County, Pender County, and Brunswick County. We're here.
Mike is giving me that time up look.
We're here. So the resources are there. Okay, the time's up. Resources are there. We got to grab them.
That time up look. So I'm going home and get some sleep. I'm bored. I gotta go back to work. Any closing comments? I enjoyed y'all. Yes, I've been waiting. I've been patiently waiting.
It's always hard for me to stay quiet. One of the things, I come from a different culture background, obviously, but education through school and reading and movies and everything that I saw was a lot for me. One of the things, I heard most is hope, the lack of hope. And that seems to be and that's when I started understanding why people kill each other, why they hurt other people. If if it feels like their life doesn't matter, then yours doesn't either. And that's where I think a lot of this violence is they don't feel like they matter. And they don't feel like, just like with this program here, at least you've got some opportunity with Linc. But there's a lot of folks out there that they're stuck in the rut with the same people, and that's all they've got. And they don't have hope for that nice house and that family because they've not seen it around them.
I remember I was 11. I think I was 11 years old.
Oh yeah.
I was 11 years old when they marched us all to. They stopped doing stuff like that for children. I was 11 years old. I think 11 or 12, in middle school, and every child had to go to the Hampton Coliseum. And we remember the line, "Keep Hope Alive." Jesse was on tour. A lot of people don't like Jesse and Al Sharpton. Jesse and Al Sharpton saved my life. It wasn't for her. Before that day, my heroes was Jesse and Al. We just had to go to the Coliseum. Every time they came, Operation Bad Bastard came to Virginia, we had to march. They marched. Every school had to come. We get on the bus, they marched. Everybody did. and Jesse had the whole school district for an hour. And we left out there fired up as teenagers. They don't do that. They don't bring that hope in them, and that's what kept me going, and it kept me out the streets. You know, my dad is built. That was the other thing that kept me out the street, kind of go home and face it. I remember when I left home, I loved my father, but I feared my father. I feared my father so much when I left home sneaking to go in the military at 18. My father was Jehovah's Witness. He didn't want me to go in the military. I got to the recruiting station, and I was going in the military. And at that time you had to wait. You know, you enlist, and you join, but you had to go back to your time come in. I said, no, I can't go back home. I got to go tonight. And I actually went in the military, had passed all the tests, could be an officer. I actually went in as an infantryman, because I was not going back to face my father. Because I knew the consequences of my action. And I always tell my children, I said, my children hate, I got a son right now, he called me in 4 days. Because he know, now my son 25, you know what the dreads, yeah. He know what he gonna get from me when he calls. Because he know I know. And he been ducking me for 4 days. I done left messages, I done called. I'm gonna catch him this weekend. I'm off. Pull up right up to his house.
Yes, sir.
I ain't knocking on the door. I'm going up in there. Because as long as you on this earth wearing my name, you mine. Get out. And I got a big brother named Sam. He about big. He about 6'9". He like this. He going with me. Because my son Mike Calendar, he been a little tough now, so I might make it ain't happening by myself. I'll take back though with me just in case you know. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Take care.
Thank you
Michael.
for coming. We appreciate you guys stay with us. Tomorrow we have more activity here at Local Reentry Council. Please feel free to join us